recognize that win.
Yep.
Even if it's just a matter of looking at yourself in the mirror and going, hey, good job.
Yep. You don't have to, get up tomorrow morning, put your running shoes on, and run a frickin' marathon. Welcome to the Whole Wealth Journey.
Wealth with a Y. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Are we spelling it funny?
No, I think it's
We're using the word Y.
The word Y, right?
Okay, good.
Not the letter Y, the actual word Y.
Well, I know why.
Why?
Because we want to help people get on their path. Then the path is all about their why.
And it's about aligning your finances with the people, the experience, and the passions that give their lives true meaning.
It's getting way beyond the bank statements, the brokerage statements, the trust documents, the life insurance, and taking a deeper dive into your why.
Well, admittedly, we're not for everyone. This is different. We're for the bold ones who really want to dive deeper and seek a life that resonates with who they really are at their core, who finds value in vulnerability.
Well,
you and I do.
You and I do, and that's where we want to play, but not everybody is comfortable with that vulnerability.
Maybe we should introduce ourselves. What do you think?
Oh, that's a good idea. Jim Gebhardt.
And I'm Matthew Grishman. We are the co-creators of the podcast, The Whole Wealth Journey. Ready to find your why? Then let's get started and get you one step closer to unlocking your inner wealth and well-being. We must start with gratitude, shall we?
Have to start with gratitude.
We always start with gratitude.
So
it's kind of one of our things.
With all that you have going on, what is fresh and ready in gratitude land?
I'm going to go with a little bit more positive focus for this gratitude.
So looking out a little.
Yeah, I'm grateful for what's to come.
Okay.
I don't know that I've done a lot of that in studio. I've done a lot of looking in the rearview mirror at what's happened and finding gratitude in my heart for that. I'm feeling really excited and really looking forward to a little bit of time on the California coast. I've had a lot of downtime, unintentional downtime due to health stuff, which we've talked plenty about and we'll probably talk more about. This feels like the first time in a while that we're going to get a chance to just be human beings for 6 or 7 days versus human doings. This is not a trip. This is not a visit. This is a vacation. This will be sitting up in a house on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Mendocino County with not much to do. I mean, we could find lots to do, but I'm really, really, really looking forward to being a human being and not doing much. And I'm really, really grateful for that.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully next time we're in studio, I'll get to hot wash with you on what that's like.
There might be a story or two.
To sit still without technology in my hands for a week. How about you?
Keeping the technology out of your hands for a week.
Well, that's a chore in itself.
In a lockbox.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we don't. Well, I learned a little something at Strategic Coach about that we could talk about, which is the free day cell phone versus the focus and buffer day cell phone. So that
sounds like an episode.
Going back to the idea of the old bat phone that I used to have. This was something.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That.
Maybe we'll get a little flip bat phone for the trip and leave the old iPhone.
A burner.
Get a burner for the trip and leave the old connection to the world at home. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to that. What's on the positive focus list?
I've been on a quest the last few years to sharpen the saw, to get better at the craft. And I was exploring a variety of different programs and content and kind of just exploring, and I would get frustrated at the fact that it's like, well, can it just show up already?
Right.
And I just kept taking the energy off. I kept channeling our dear friend and coach and mentor, Jim Kelly, just take all the energy off of that and just let it be in the theme of, a human being. And a few months ago, hit pay dirt with a group called the Exit Planning Institute, and a particular curriculum that they've put together as a certified exit planning advisor. And as I dived into the content, I was like, oh my goodness. This is like, right out of central casting for the content that I love it. I love it. There's so much that the business owner has to deal with, half of which they're not aware of. I mean, I kind of think of it like a minefield, right? You mean the business owner has this thing they've created out of thin air. Maybe they bought it. Maybe they took it over from mom or dad, or maybe they're still in it with mom or dad. It's grown into this thing that a lot of people tell them is worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a minefield that they have to go through to get to the other side of the desert.
Sure.
To eventually have some kind of, in the Wall Street language, they would refer to that as a liquidity event.
That's a great word.
Right? But it's incredible. So I've jumped into the deep end of the pool, gone through the certification process, and just devoured the content. It was stuff that I'm so grateful I still have an appetite to want to do that at 54.
Sure.
Because let's face it, brother, we could just phone this thing in.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
No offense to your son in autopilot, but we could put this thing on autopilot and it'd be pretty darn good.
Sure, but he's my kid. Why do you think he doesn't want to fly 777s overseas? Because he doesn't want to just push a button and snooze out. He wants to fly the airplane.
And I don't want to push a button on what we're doing and what we're building and the impact that we're having. And
we need to see it to the end, because you know what? This idea of an exit planner, it makes so much sense, because what have you been for all these years? You've been an entrance planner. You have helped so many people see how to become a successful entrepreneur. You don't even know you do it. You do it every time we've been with a client who doesn't own their own business, and they get a little sniff and a snapshot of what being an entrepreneur looks like. And so many of them have made that transition. Hello, you're sitting across from probably one of your biggest case studies here.
Live in studio.
Uh-huh. And so all these years you were a certified entrance planner into creating the entrepreneurial experience. And here we are nearly 30 years later, and you got to see how the movie ends. You can't do all this work for 30 years and just phone it in. You've got to develop now the expertise to finish the freaking job.
Well,
you helped them start it. Now you got to help them sell it.
It's something I could do for a very, very, very long time.
Good boy. Good, because we need some shit to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice work.
All right, where'd we leave off?
Holy cow, we were on fire.
We were balancing sheets and making beds, or no, what were those called? Oh, balance sheets.
I had to go run like laps in the parking lot after that. I was so
too.
amped up.
He
was doing one-arm push-ups afterwards.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. It's incredible. Way to go, Ace. Well, let's get back to kind of measuring this idea of where we are today.
It's back to school season.
It is. And there we go.
Yeah.
Way to bring that in.
All the kiddos are back in school.
Absolutely.
Mine have been at it for like 6-7 weeks already.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
Back to school season. Here we go.
Yes. Well, for the entrepreneur, there ain't no summer vacation. We're always in school.
Yep.
So we left off, we're in this whole kind of process of just trying to get real clear on where we want to go based on where we are today. We took the deep dive into the snapshot, the balance sheet, the personal net worth statement. Now what we want to do is there's a second big piece that, again, I think for entrepreneurs who've been at this for a while, this is going to be a familiar exercise. You've done it in the business. Now it's time to look at it on the personal end, and that's something called the profit and loss statement, or as you and I like to refer to it, the goes-ins and the goes-outs.
Goes-ins and goes-outs are as simple as, what comes in the top of the funnel in the way of income, and then where does it all go? And is there something at the end, right? Take all the income, right, that comes in the top of the funnel, and that may be a consistent number, that may be a fluctuating number. Obviously, it's a more challenging exercise if it fluctuates, but
sure,
as entrepreneurs, we get it. And then just start to line item out. Where does it all go?
Yeah.
Right?
So this is a little different than the balance sheet exercise. Because the balance sheet's like a snapshot in time today.
Right.
Would you recommend, because you said it could be a variable amount?
It could be a variable amount, so I like a monthly look at this.
Okay. How many months?
Ideally 6.
Okay. So to create a proper P&L statement, a goes-ins and goes-out statement, we should be looking at the last 6 months and making an average?
You would like to look at the 6 months and list out all the expenses. Well, the one, go ahead.
The income on the left, the expenses on the right.
Well, more
right?
in my mind,
bottom.
the income at the top. And then you're going to start to have your parentheses around, you know, the mortgage and the property tax and the car insurance and the gasoline and the grocery store and the...
It's almost like a big running list that starts at the top of the page.
And Lifetime and Amazon and Amazon and Amazon.
Netflix. How many Netflix subscriptions do you have?
Oh, all of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Warning. It's a painful exercise.
Labor intensive or emotionally painful?
Emotionally painful.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, because you work your fanny off to go make this money. And then you see where it all goes. I mean, we've talked about this in the olden days on the show.
Sure.
But again, all progress begins by telling the truth. So
Sure.
Unless you can't possibly measure in arrears, as we talked about on the show last time, we measure progress in arrears. Thank you, Dan Sullivan. You can't possibly do that unless you have the data.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's a total guess.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of tools that are out there to do this. My wife and I use YNAB. You need a budget.
Oh, Y, the letter Y, not WHY.
That we didn't do this for many years, and now we're getting in a much better habit of it, because it has been a little bit in the last few years like, where in the world does all this money go?
So you're looking at your bank account at the end of the month, and you're wondering.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know anything about that.
No. You didn't write a book on that, did you?
Strange concept. No, that's a past life. We're in the whole wealth journey now, brother.
So you could have a lot of line items there.
Yeah.
Right? And again, refreshing ourselves in the concept, no judgment here. No, it's an emotionally challenging enough exercise when you realize how hard you work to make the money, what hits the bank account either, pre-tax or after tax, and then where it all goes and what's left.
So I'm going to suggest an intermediary step in creating the P&L statement before you go through the exhaustive every detail of every Amazon purchase and Netflix subscription that you have. I was stuck. I was not able to ever do something as exhaustive as that, for the same reason why my workout coach right now, why I'm struggling to put everything I eat, right? Why I'm having a hard time tracking everything I eat, because I don't want to look at the fact that I know I'm putting things in my body I probably shouldn't be at this point, but we're getting there. Progress, right? I felt that way times 10 when my life with money was a complete train wreck, and I was looking at my bank statement at the end of every month, and I had no idea where my money was going. Mm-hmm. And the idea of looking at every single line item scared the crap out of me, so I wasn't going to do it. Let's start with some very basic foundational expenses. Let's just start with the have-tos, right? You've got two types of expenses in your life. You've got have-tos and want-tos. If we want to make them bigger words, we can call them foundational expenses and discretionary expenses. But those are, for big word people. I like the small words, the have-tos and the want-tos. The have-tos we can break down into 6 major categories. And what Glenn suggested is, can you off the top of your head, because you pay your bills, you're in touch with the goes-ins and goes-outs, can you estimate what these numbers are? And then you're going to back this up by looking at the data. And if your estimation doesn't come anywhere near, well, then you got to get a little more forensic, like what you were suggesting. So just the intermediary step of your 6 foundational expenses. So we've already got all the goes-ins. Now we got to start measuring the goes-outs.
Yep.
We have 6. Ready? And
I'm ready.
I can count all 6 on one hand.
Good for you.
You got that.
Are you in the circus?
Uh-huh. Roof over my head. Food in my fridge. Clothing on my back. Transportation. Communication. Healthcare. 6 foundational expenses. There we go. That's one hand.
There you go.
2 thumbs.
Yep.
You like that? 6 foundational expenses.
Let it rip.
What does it cost to put a roof over your head? And everything that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
What does it cost to put food in the fridge? I'm not talking about eating out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking literally about the basics.
A want to.
A discretionary, right? Not a foundational.
I don't want to cook tonight.
I know.
I don't want to cook tonight.
Uh-huh. I have lots of those.
Therefore, it goes into the I want to category.
The I want to category, exactly. So we look at what those foundational expenses are. Then we look at everything else, because everything else is a want to. So we have 7 line items of the goes outs between the 6 different foundational categories and the 1 discretionary category. All the have tos and the one which is called I want to. And it really doesn't matter what that is for now. So we've sat down. I would suggest we push pause now. Let's do another little writing exercise.
Absolutely.
This would be a great time to do it.
Well, and as you're sharing the exercise, as you're sharing those details, what it gets me thinking of is you don't have to get the anchor all the way up in the boat to get across the lake, right? You just got to get it up off the bottom of the lake,
like an inch.
An inch.
Yeah.
To get in motion.
Attaboy.
Right? And that's really the energy that we want to put behind this, is to get into motion.
Yep.
Right? Don't go for perfection. Get in motion.
Yes.
All right. What's the writing exercise here, Leonardo?
As you just described it, I was envisioning the writing exercise as you were describing the top of the page. Take out a piece of paper, and at the top of the page, list all the goes-ins. Where do your goes-ins come from? The business, rental income, dividend income from your liquid investments like your brokerage accounts. Maybe there's some alimony money out there. Whatever you've got coming in, whatever source of money coming in, put that on top of the page.
Add it up.
What's the total? Now, start getting your red pen out.
That would be your goes-ins.
That's the goes-ins. Minus, big line across, and now let's start taking the red pen out and adding up the 7 different goes-outs we just talked about, the 6 different foundational or have-to categories, and the 1 want-to category, which is everything else. And what's left? Is it a black number or is it a red number? Now, if it's a black number, outstanding.
That means there's leftover. In accounting speak,
surplus.
That's a surplus.
Right. So when I say black ink versus red ink, surplus or deficit, do we have money left over? Or are we going into the hole every month based on the goes-ins and goes-outs?
And when we talk about, looking at this over a 6-month period, that's going to help a little bit with the kind of the extraordinary things, right? The kid's orthodontia bill, the water heater broke, we needed new tires on the blah, 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 right? That, you're going to have some of that in there that over time you're going to start to look at, because eventually where we want you to get to is thinking ahead.
Right.
Is being a little more prepared for some of the personal surprises that, come up. I feel like I've been an auto fleet manager for the past month.
With
oil
you and your
changes,
38 different cars. Sure.
Oil changes and new tires and 2 windshields. And I mean, it's just been this rigmarole, as my mother would say, of dealing with car maintenance. And it felt like, not obviously oil changes aren't $700, but it's like, with expenses coming in.
Yeah.
And the 6-month look is going to help you. I mean, you can fine tune this thing.
Sure.
Absolutely. You can fine tune this thing, because ideally you would like to know what's in the Amazon category.
Sure.
Because some of that is probably need versus want.
Sure.
It's not all want.
Right.
So depending on how granular you want to get, but again, we just can't emphasize enough getting in motion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
To start to see, okay, 6 months in a row, we've been in a deficit.
Yes.
That's when you hit the WTF button.
Right.
No
judgment,
but you're bleeding out.
Boy, wouldn't that be good to know, so that we can make different decisions going forward.
Right.
I don't know an entrepreneur who wouldn't want to course correct if they found out that they were, in fact, on the personal balance sheet or on the personal P&L, bleeding out a little bit, because eventually that's going to spill over into the business.
Well, they would definitely want to know it in the business.
Yes, of course they'd want to know in the business.
If they had 6 months in a row that they were bleeding out, something's going to change. Something's dramatically going to change.
I can't do the taps with my voice like you can, but
that's quite okay.
We were trying there.
Exactly.
Yeah, the business is going down.
It's all about trying.
Effort, baby.
So this exercise is as critical as the net worth statement, because it's going to give you a very good sense of, are you able to save anything on a monthly basis, or is it just kind of going out, albeit mindlessly? And we cannot overemphasize enough to keep judgment out of the room.
Yes.
Right? You are collecting information. You are collecting data by which you can then start to have a more thoughtful conversation with your partner, spouse, loved one, on the intentionality behind where this money is going.
Yes.
Right? That is part of the reason Beth and I are using YNAB, is to get in a position over the next several months to be able to fine tune and explore where it's all going.
Yes.
And while we've been making plenty of investments in the house and furniture and all this stuff, it's expensive. And we want to be more thoughtful and intentional about, the money that's coming in.
Good on you, brother. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's not my nature, I have to say.
Oh, no,
right?
Absolutely not.
It is a hard thing to do, but no different than the journey I've been on to, radically improve my health and my fitness and my nutrition. It's in that category. I got to start somewhere. Right?
Well, and you and I have learned how to be better business owners as a result of taking what we've learned by hiring people in our business to run our business with the help of our CPA and the outside advice we've gotten. And we've taken some of those skills and we've turned around and applied them at home. And that's what we're trying to help the uber successful entrepreneur do, especially if you don't have that person at home running your finances, that it's all on you. We have to take what we learn here and now we got to apply that at home. So what do we do once we do these two exercises? Once we sit down and we now have the data, we have a net worth number, and we have either a surplus or a deficit. There are a couple things we can do.
I know the first thing I would do.
What's that?
I would go sit down with my wealth manager, my financial advisor, and have a meeting and talk about it.
And share the information. Yeah. That might be the second thing you do. First thing I would do?
No, it's the first thing I would do.
Before celebrating that you actually did it? That's the first thing you would do?
I would do that with my financial advisor.
Go celebrate with your financial advisor. I love it. The fact that you sat down and did it, that's a big deal. For me, that's a big deal. So good on you for sitting down and gathering the data.
Totally.
Recognize that win.
Yep.
Even if it's just a matter of looking at yourself in the mirror and going, hey, good job.
Yep.
Right? Huge. Very important. Now, go tell somebody about it. Go sit with somebody about it. If you don't have somebody to sit with, reach out to us. We'd love to hear your story. We'd love to hear how this experience was for you.
And maybe you've been preparing a personal net worth statement for years, your balance sheet, because you too have a banking relationship.
Absolutely.
And whether you do it or your CFO or controller does it for you, go down memory lane. Go back and look at P&Ls personally or professionally, balance sheets, personal net worth statements. Go back and actually look at where you've come from and the progress that most likely you've made over a 3 to 5 year period of time.
Find the progress you've made because it's there.
It's got to be there.
It's there. Now, one of two things is going to happen, and this is what's going to kind of direct where you go next. You're going to see this data as giving you some information that requires you to make some massive changes. You might. That's where I was a few years ago, where I looked at this data, the net worth was negative, and the P&L statement was red. That did not feel good.
That does not feel good.
Now, if that's where you are, that's okay. We at least know where we are. And the good news is that if you follow along with what we're teaching, we don't make promises we can't keep. But a year from now, when you're looking back on this finding, you will be able to measure progress. Here's what I'm going to suggest. Go back to the very beginning of our podcast. If you realize that there are big changes that need to be made, we created an entire curriculum called Financial Sobriety. You might need a little refresh on the concepts behind financial sobriety, which will help you right-size that balance sheet. It'll help you right-size that P&L statement. We have how many episodes? 134 episodes in financial sobriety. Go back.
First 15 or 20.
Right. Are all the curriculum of how to right-size your finances.
Right.
The second possible outcome is you have a positive net worth, you have a green P&L statement, and you would like it to get better. Mm-hmm. You would like it to get healthier. Mm-hmm. You would like it to move in a direction because you have big goals, and perhaps there are little adjustments that can be made, tiny little adjustments. This hit me. 15 years ago when I was out with David hiking, cousin David, I hope he's listening. Haven't talked to him in a long time, but man, he taught me one of the most important lessons about money, unintentionally, that I ever could have learned.
On the trail.
On the trail.
In Yosemite.
We did a 5-day loop around the Hetch Hetchy Reservoir.
It was a personal finance workshop?
It was two guys going out backpacking after he had just won season 6 of Hell's Kitchen.
Wow.
And we weren't allowed to tell anybody. It wasn't going to air for like 3 more months. So we needed to get away for a couple of days. He told me, I was his quote unquote personal advisor at the time. So we went out and celebrated with a 5-day backpacking trip in Yosemite National Park. On our very first day, now David is an avid outdoorsman, hiker, backpacker. He's thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail. He's thru-hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. I don't believe he's done the Rocky Mountain, the Continental Divide Trail. But if he does accomplish that, he will have what's called the Triple Crown, which is 3 through hikes of the 3 trails that go from the bottom to the top in the United States. Very few people have done that. But man, he's
a pro.
He's a pro. So he took me out, and on day 1, we're sitting in the campsite. The fire's raging. He's reading a book. And as he turns each page in the book, he rips the page out, throws it in the fire.
Now, it was cold?
I'm wondering, because I'm the son of an English teacher, and that's blasphemy. You don't burn books. You don't do it. I was curious. So I kept watching as he did this. And then he was done reading, closed his book, was getting ready for bed, pulled out his brand new wooden Tom's of Maine toothbrush, snapped off the wooden handle, threw it in the fire. I couldn't help myself. What are you doing, David? I'm watching you destroy a book. I'm watching you destroy your toothbrush. What's going on? He said, it's a habit. It was a habit I learned on the Appalachian Trail years ago on my first through hike. It's called shaving ounces. What? What do you mean? Well, if you start on the trail with 50 pounds on your back, there's only so much you're going to lose with food and water. But if each day you can shave a couple of ounces, by the time you get to New Hampshire, where you've done 80% of the walking but only 20% of the work between New Hampshire and Katahdin, Maine, you could lose another 15 to 20 pounds, which will make that last 80% of the work, 20% of the distance, that much easier. Holy cow. Say that again?
Right. That was a mind blower.
Shaving ounces.
Yeah.
And immediately my head went to how that could apply to my own personal finances, because
Sure.
at the time we were going through a major restructuring of our own personal finances, where I had already eliminated as many of the big expenses as I possibly could. We had brought our income down. Well, our income was down substantially, and we had to reduce our expenses substantially. And there was about $4,000 a month we had to get rid of, and I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. And it was through David's idea of just gradually shaving ounces over time, a little bit here, a little bit there, a subscription here, $20 a month there. Instead of a Starbucks latte, I started brewing coffee at home, right? All these little adjustments that just helped tighten it, and over time allowed me to be more intentional with thousands and thousands of dollars that were literally nickels getting dropped left and right unintentionally.
Yeah.
So
that's a fabulous story. There is so much to learn from that when it comes to personal finance.
Oh,
I was also in my head going, that 1% difference, that shaving ounces is how I'm losing weight.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Most literally in terms of nutrition.
Yeah.
And I'm actually tracking calories, and it is painful.
Nice.
But it is giving me the data that helps me go, oh, wow. Oh, I didn't realize there was that many carbs in there, and I've exceeded my carb intake for the day, right? Oh, that's a problem. It's noon, right? And but again, this whole story is just so representative of how you don't have to get up tomorrow morning, put your running shoes on, and run a frickin' marathon. That's not the point here. The point is to get in motion and to start looking at the information. I'm thinking of clients that we did this with, and the husband was into cigars and she was into clothing, and they did this exercise, and over the span of, I think it was 4 or 5 months, we looked at it, and she was spending $2,500 to $4,000 a month on clothing.
Wow.
And he was spending $700 to $800 a month on cigars.
Wow. So
Now,
those didn't fall under the foundational expense categories.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And there was no judgment coming for us. We were just showing them the information.
Sure.
So that they could then make a decision, which was, well, that's excessive.
Yeah.
I believe the wife said that's ridiculous.
Yes.
And that's what you're going to get as kind of a bonus prize from this. Is it's going to get you in motion because it's going to emotionally you're going to go, oh, how are we spending $222 a month on subscriptions?
Well, come on. How much time did I spend feeling like a victim because I would look at my bank statement at the end of the month and wonder where all my money went?
Right.
Oh my God, woe is me.
Right.
Right. Now, all of a sudden, we get to take our power back because we become aware of where we stand, which empowers us to make different decisions going forward. You can choose to judge the output. You can, which will keep you firmly planted in victim mode.
And it's over.
Right. You can't change it.
It's like I played golf on Sunday with Grant, and he had a 4-putt, right? He triple bogeyed the hole.
Nice.
And he triple bogeyed that hole in his head for like the next 5 holes.
So he triple bogeyed the next 5 holes.
No, but just in his head, he wouldn't let it go. He was stuck.
Did it affect the next 5 holes?
Yeah, he played shitty.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't let it go. Yeah. So if you're going to look at this information and get all worked up about it, that's not going to serve you. That's not going to help you.
Or decide how much time you're willing to give it to be all worked up. When you look at the data, if you're not happy about the data, how much time are you allowed to be unhappy about the data before it's time to move forward? Because we can't spend more than, 15 minutes trying to hope for a better past.
Yeah, it's a wasted effort.
Yeah. So 15 minutes. Let's agree on 15 minutes.
Love it.
And then
set the timer.
We're going to make some decisions on how we move forward, because that is what we're going to start doing in the next couple of episodes. Is we're going to start creating the vision. Now that you know where you are, now that we've unpacked the story, we know the people, the purpose, the play, the prosperity in your life. We've taken an X-ray vision of where we stand today. Now we can start building and visioning what tomorrow's going to look like, where we're going. We've unpacked the story, and now we're going to start defining the story going forward. Where do you want to go, and what are the tools we've created here in the Whole Wealth Journey to help you get there? That's what's coming up next on the next episode of the Whole Wealth Journey. And with that, brother,
that's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us today on the Whole Wealth Journey. Whatever your path may look like, our purpose is to make sure that your way forward aligns with your core values and intentions. Are you ready to start planning for a future that's rich in wealth and well-being? Then click like and subscribe and make sure you don't miss a single episode of the Whole Wealth Journey.
So if we've struck a nerve with you today, where do people go?
You can find us at GebhardtWholeWealth.com. That's GEBHARDT, wholewealth.com. And once you get there, make sure you connect with us so you can take the first steps to finding your why. We'll see you next time.
Jim Gebhardt is a registered representative of and securities offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Jim Gebhardt and Matthew Grishman are investment advisor representatives of Gebhardt Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, and Gebhardt Group, Incorporated are not affiliated. The opinions in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or investment recommendations. To determine which investments or financial advice may be appropriate for you, consult a financial advisor prior to investing. Any reference to market performance is based on historical information, and there is no expressed or implied guarantee of future performance. Opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Gebhardt Group, Incorporated does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance.